Hello and welcome back to Election Time News Canada. Today is Saturday, April 11th, 2026, and today we're going to be going over what could be seen as the continued collapse of the Conservative Party in Canada, which has had some continual issues, but what is objectively mostly just struggles of Pierre Poilievre, even after what was originally a very strong performance review just a few months ago. Election Time News is your one stop for all things American, Canadian, and Australian elections and politics. Make sure to follow us on our socials to stay up to date on election news as it breaks, updates on changing projections, and regular prediction updates. They're on our website and linked below on our YouTube homepage. Remember, there's never a dull moment in politics. So, the big bit of news that happened recently was that there was a group of conservative MPs that are demanding that conservative leader Pierre Poilievre resign from the leadership position. If he does not, they will all cross the floor to the Liberals, giving Carney a majority government right now. So they're only one shy of a majority at this point anyway, because we had another crossing. I mean, we've had now, I'm pretty sure 5 people cross the floor to the Liberal Party since the beginning of this government. And so obviously things have not been going too well for the Conservatives. Obviously not for the Conservative Party, but here, yes, we had most recently Conservative MP Marilyn Gladue has crossed the floor to the Liberals on April, I believe it might have been April 7th. I don't know. It doesn't say breaking. If it says breaking, that means that it happened, the news dropped in the past hour. So which there is quite a lot that we do catch very early. It's just I am still only one person and can only do so much, but we absolutely do get as much as we possibly can out to you guys. And quite a bit of the time we do actually get stuff before literally anybody else does. Like this one, for example, was relatively quick. So we got the biggest one was Mary Peltola's announcement that she was running for Senate. We literally got that out seconds after she announced. So that's definitely a huge blow to Poilievre, essentially saying you're going to leave as a leader with 140 seats, or in some cases, the amount of people that said were to be in that group were as many as 20. That would definitely give Carney a large majority. Now, this is the current standing of things in Canada. If we look specifically at the 2025 federal results, you can see that the NDP won Nunavut. You can see here, I don't think it's actually, yeah, it's over here. This was the most recent floor crosser, Gladue's seat right here. There's another flip right there for Markham Unionville. And essentially, the rule is that the margin stays the exact same. If they cross party, then I just change who it's been to, and the margin stays the same. So that's why Nunavut is tilt red, is because I believe it's a she won by a tilt margin under the NDP, changed to the Liberals. So now it is tilt R. Tilt red, tilt L. So the main issue, obviously, to focus on for Poilievre is it worth it to risk it? Because he did win the review, which obviously there actually was some discontent amongst the Conservatives for. I believe it was like a $1,000 fee to get in, so it was generally consisted of mostly very wealthy members of the party. So that generally was pretty frowned upon as far as that goes. But there's a few by-elections that are also coming up as well. And before even there were 2 more crossovers, being Gladue and I forget who this is, unfortunately, but in Nunavut, which was the first split from the NDP, and that was before NDP leadership changed to now it's before Abby Lewis won the leadership review for the NDP now. for the national NDP, you now have a problem of that the Liberals are basically guaranteed a majority government. So, I'm trying to type and think at the same time. The majority government is essentially guaranteed at this point. Originally, it was looking like they were going to have to really fight for it right before Gladue, and I feel really bad about missing her name, but I can probably find it, but it's going to take a while. I can probably talk in the meantime, and you can also... Oh, nope, it's not going to load. Okay, well. And so obviously it was a little while ago at this point, but majority government would obviously make things a lot easier for Carney. He's continued to do pretty well generally. Okay, we're now like a month back, and so as you can see, continued continued posting, regular posting. Twitter's a little bit different, but for the most part there are still general bits of information. You get general polling updates. You get as there were calls, for example, people still got to see live as we made projections, a few random small miscellaneous things. But yeah, so obviously it's... Yep, there was the day that he called the by-elections in 3 ridings. If Liberals can win all 3, he'll have a narrower majority government. You can see that here. He had won 69 seats if he won these 2, which are safe Liberal, and then had managed to win Terrebonne again, which had been nullified by the Supreme Court. They had literally won it by 1 single vote. It got annulled. Then they would have a majority government reaching 170... Oops, wrong thing. 172 seats. I'm leaving that open because I don't want to forget about it. I need to make another video about that in not too long from now. And so, yeah, he's probably outgoing too. So, but she officially announced she's retiring. He has not said he's going to retire. It's just basically an ultimatum. And so that would in fact be a majority government. That would change things up a lot. But you have the fact now that, I believe it was University of Rosedale, and then this one up here, Scarborough Southwest. Then you have the fact now that, first off, the NDP seat flipped, so that means that they were guaranteed a majority, as is anyway, with these 2 safe Liberal seats. They didn't need Terrebonne, and now they're basically guaranteed a majority of at least 173, again, barring the result in Terrebonne, which the Bloc has been doing relatively okay with. I wouldn't be surprised if necessarily they might end up winning it. I'm going to have another... tomorrow, the next video is also going to be on Canada. I really didn't know what else to put out today, so I just decided to do one on this specifically, not to try to lump everything together into like a 40-minute video. Instead, I'm going to do 2 20-minute videos because they'll generally do better. But yeah, narrow majority government there, and then within not too much longer, there's one from the NDP. Yeah, just as I was about to release this video, majority by elections to talk about if they could do it. NDP, Lori Idlout has crossed the floor to the Liberals, bringing their total to 170 and almost assuring they'll have a majority after the April 13th by-elections. And so, yeah, I basically have a packed schedule for special elections over the next, like, week. Terrebonne, quick review. Honestly, no, let's get out of the way right now. I'm gonna do it real quick. I know it's not gonna take too long for me to review over the data a little bit, and I did not mean to do that, so I'm gonna quickly snag this again. Wrong button. There we go. So, obviously for Poilievre, things have been continuing to go downhill. If we even look at the opinion polls still, Carney appears to have peaked finally, if you will say finally. Over the past month, it's stagnated. But the Poilievre has also potentially hit his floor, but they've continued to lose. He's down 9 points. The NDP is up 3, which is good for them. The Bloc actually has lost a little bit. The Greens have tripled in their vote share. Others have gone up, and actually the PPC has also gained a little bit, probably from the further right vote of the CPC, but that generally seems to be a little bit statistically insignificant, considering that it's, still talking about 0.7%. But right now, based on this, you'd have a 12-point win in the popular vote. And when you're looking back at 2025's environment, that was 2 3/4 points, and that was a pretty strong victory for the Liberals. So, considering that you are potentially looking at a 12-point win, where the Conservatives are the ones that have basically lost everything everywhere. I'm going to quickly pull up, I'm actually going to quickly pull up Poilievre. Yeah, probably gonna run for president if anything. Then you look at it's not even gonna be close, and you can see 230 seats. And it would be, yeah, not even, yeah. Now, I mean, now you have a flip from the NDP, but that's still idlout. You have some northern chunks here. Bloc doing a little bit worse in some areas. They actually have Terrebonne going to the Liberals in this current one there, but the NDP actually getting up to 12 seats. It's doubling their seat count. I don't know if that actually would make them be a party officially again. Yep, and then again you get Kitchener Center. Flipping into from the Conservatives, you have a flip for the NDP, but it's mostly because the Conservatives are completely collapsed in a lot of these, especially these industrial areas right out of Detroit and Windsor West. You have London Fanshawe as well. Holding the seat in Hamilton, flipping that in Hamilton Center from the Liberals. So the NDP doing pretty well for themselves in general, but the Conservatives probably looking pretty rough, dropping down to 77 seats, which is basically half as much as they have now. So a 12-point win. Now, I don't even know exactly. Yeah, that's 12.6% nationally, which is roughly about where they're at right now. That is actually a little bit under 12. So they're probably using different sources for their polling, or but I'm pretty sure this is still just a nowcast anyway, just because it's yeah, projection for April 6th. So yeah, it's definitely not a scenario that Poilievre wants, but it looks like he's not even going to be able to be around any longer to be able to see it. So again, it's definitely basically an impending crisis the for the back home. Let's look at the no, they don't have. Okay, well, intriguing. I can't vote. That sucks. Well, ah. So obviously the number one thing is going to be whether or not the Liberals are going to be able to win Terrebonne again. Well, I mean, win again asterisk. But University of Rosedale and Scarborough Southwest are going to go to the Liberals. They're both very safe seats, right? It doesn't necessarily matter one way or the other. But the by-elections that are coming up on Monday, of course, the big one again, Terrebonne. We're gonna be able to see if the Liberals are really gonna be able to propel themselves forward at this point, or if it really is just gonna be kind of more or less quiet. So Scarborough Southwest by-election is also coming up on Monday. Again, very safe seat. That's 31 points. It's probably gonna be even more than that, honestly. That is this one right here, Scarborough Southwest, being really speculation. But yeah, so Blair got appointed to a post, and so now you have Dolly Begum is likely, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that name right, is probably going to be the next well, Central Spread doesn't have a page. Interesting. Is probably going to end up being the next video. Conservatives did pretty well for this year. Yeah. Because the NDP completely collapsed in this seat. But that's generally going to probably be the biggest win for the Liberals. You also have, I think I just straight up typed it. I don't know how University Rosedale is going to be typed in here. But anyway, you have that one's also going to be another safe seat. That's a very safe liberal seats, if we look at the actual map, then scroll in on University Rosedale. If it'll make things easy. Yeah, not even close. 39 compared to 40, so it actually did lose a little bit of ground, but I think they won it against the conservatives. Now they're fighting up against the NDP, and if the NDP is gaining ground, then that's probably going to end up being a bit of a difference there. If we look at the 2025 election, yep, they won it against the conservatives by 40 points. Yet now we're looking at the NDP being the second largest one there. So that's definitely going to be something interesting to note there. See if the conservatives actually do end up missing out on that second spot there. It'd be interesting to see if they actually completely get like tanked, right? Because I mean they're within 4 points of each other in this, and when you're talking about especially by-elections, yeah, plus or minus 7.8 and 7.1, these are basically completely interchangeable with each other. So if the conservatives manage to hold on to the second place spot, I mean, yeah, they could win second place by as high as 3 points with 95% confidence. Then n equals 70. That's really bad. Then low uncertainty though. Okay, whatever that means. Then you have the problem of are the conservatives not actually doing as bad as as everyone might have been thinking? Because there's definitely a chance that they could end up potentially getting like 20% of the vote. If they end up almost matching their vote from the 2025 election and holding the LPC down below 60 because the NDP has been gaining back, that would definitely change the narrative on what exactly has been going on. So there's definitely, even though it is a safe liberal seat, that is still definitely something to be watching. Same sort of thing in Scarborough West, who's expected to conservatives here, NDP. That is not going to be as significant as far as that goes. 30 points down to 22 and a half, though, is definitely a huge drop for the conservatives. We're going to have to see how that potentially continues to go as well. But of course, again, the biggest one being Terrebonne, based on Poilievre right now, says that the Liberals have a narrow chance of winning, 20% lead. That's specifically 18.4. But yeah, I mean, as far as this goes, completely in the air. It was 38.7 to 38.7. And that is not at all true. Well, yeah, I guess not for the general, but it's a complete rematch of 2025. Every single one of the parties actually nominated the exact same people for this contest, so it is just a complete rematch with a different national environment. The question is going to be who has gained more, specifically in this region, right outer Quebec. That's not Quebec City. That's Quebec City. Oops. In the general, South Quebec. Why is this? Whatever. And specifically some of these areas that the bloc has managed to hold on to still, as you start getting more into the southern urban part of Quebec, not necessarily into like the urban areas of Ontario, necessarily not into I'm blanking on this city. No, not Vancouver. I knew that. That's dumb. Yeah, but Montreal, as you go down further into Ottawa, that's what it is. Ottawa. Yeah, the capital. But I mean, the NDP is basically completely collapsed here. The question is going to be if the bloc can start whittling some ground back in Quebec, because that definitely could have some interesting takes for how things have been going while there's been more tension against the separationist movements, even in Alberta, where it looks like it's going to potentially fail by as much as 2-1. And so Terrebonne being an interesting gauge on the block, how well they're doing specifically. And I mean, 1.6%, that's definitely within almost any margin of error here, plus or minus 9.8%. That means that technically they could get as low as 30%. And the block getting as high as 37. So definitely a lot of variation possibility there. But as of right now, I think generally, if we look at, oh my word, there we go, at who's really been gaining the most, the block has they were at a peak in January, and then they've fallen a little bit more as the year has continued. They are actually half a point lower for the 14-day average than they were in 2025. Meanwhile, the Liberals are up 2 points. So it's really not that big of a question as far as I'm concerned of who has been gaining the most in the national. Who drew that? As far as the national environment goes, Quebec might be a little bit different. If we look specifically at opinion polls for Quebec, there we go. Then you can see the Liberals have actually lost a little bit of ground here. The latest Labour poll, which actually is very not recent, which is annoying, does actually have the Liberals losing 3 points and the Bloc actually gaining 0.3%, so roughly stagnant. So that would actually have the Bloc winning based on that general set of polling there. But unfortunately, as far as that goes, it's not very recent. It's from November, and that was back actually from before the Bloc's peak and back when the Liberals were actually struggling. November was them tanking. They hit their bottom right at about January. The NDP was doing pretty well, and then now, you have that bull coming back up. So it's gonna come down to the state, the provincial feelings in the area, how well Carney's doing. If they want to help build that now the majority government, because it's gonna happen, right? Almost anyone who really there's no chance that the Liberals are going to lose these two ridings. They're going to end up with at least 173. The question is, are they going to get that 174th or not? Are they going to be able to push a little bit further and just barely get over that hump and then get just one more seat buffer to be able to actually have a little bit more clearance in being able to govern, because a majority government's great, but if you only have it by one, then it doesn't take much to have some sort of opposition there, especially if you have some former conservatives who are potentially looking to win some form of re-election in some of these. I don't remember where the people who crossed are, but I mean the NDP there, she's going to do fine. But I mean in some areas like Sarnia-Lambton, this was not updated recently enough, so yeah, it's still gonna have conservatives winning, but only by 2.7. So I think honestly at this point, she could still win as a liberal because she's the incumbent at this point, but still gonna be a big question mark in the air as far as how that ends up going there in Sarnia, for example. In a few the other ridings, there were 3 more from the conservatives. So that is going to be it for today. Make sure to leave your thoughts, suggestions in the comments. Future Canadian videos. I do like making Canadian videos. It's just I think I need to train my algorithm a little bit more on some places because I mostly get American news. I want to get a little bit more about what's going on in Canada. So if anyone can direct me to news sources in Canada that are active on Twitter and Threads, that would be phenomenal. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to share. My Canadian videos don't generally do as well, so that's also partially why I don't make as many of them. I'd love to do more Canadian and Australian content. I do enjoy doing those as well, get some diversification in there. There's only so much you can talk about America. And thank you again, and as always, have a fantastic rest of your day.